The next slide that I'm going to show you is a world first, an image of the in situ remains discovered by University of Leicester archaeologists in the choir of the Greyfriars Church and excavated on Wednesday, the 5th of September 2012. It was an extraordinary discovery that stunned all of us and has led to the 5-month scientific and archaeological investigation culminating in this announcement today. The skeleton was in good condition and apart from the hands and sternum remained in articulation. The feet were missing, almost certainly as a result of later disturbance. And, of course, the evidence for scoliosis or curvature of the spine could be plainly seen. There was no evidence for a coffin in the form of nails or impressions in the soil, or for a shroud, which might be expected to leave the bones in a rather more compact position. There was no evidence for clothing, objects of personal adornment, or other goods in the grave. A corroded iron object was found beneath 2 of the vertebrae, and although initial x-rays suggested the presence of a barb, indicating that it was perhaps an arrowhead, more detailed analysis has now confirmed that it's more likely to be a Roman nail disturbed from earlier levels. There were other unusual aspects to the interment. Whilst the lower limbs were fully extended, suggesting they were laid in the grave first, the torso was twisted and unusually the head was propped upright against the northwest corner of the grave, much higher than the rest of the skeleton, with the mandible open. The lower left arm was flexed across the abdomen, whilst the right arm was slightly flexed beside the torso, the hands crossing right over left at the hip. Recent excavations of over 1,300 medieval burials elsewhere in Leicester have shown that individuals were mostly laid out with the arms extended by the sides, and only very rarely were they crossed at the wrists and laid over the pelvis in this way. This raises the interesting possibility that the hands of the Greyfriars individual were tied at the wrists at the time of interment, although this is impossible to prove through scientific study, as bindings would have decayed and would not leave any trace on the skeleton. Now, one of the first pieces of scientific analysis that we applied to the skeletal remains was radiocarbon dating, in the hope that this would provide confirmation that the individual died in the late 15th century, thereby ruling out the possibility that it was a much earlier burial. 2 fragments of rib bone were sent to 2 different radiocarbon dating laboratories for analysis. Both laboratories produced results in very close agreement and consistent with the contention that the individual could have died in 1485. Having combined the analysis from the 2 laboratories, the results provide a model date of 1455 to 1540. It falls to me as the lead archaeologist in the search for Richard III to announce the conclusion we have reached at the University of Leicester concerning the identity of the Greyfriars skeleton. You have heard today the breadth of archaeological and scientific work that has been undertaken so far. We said from the outset that we would subject the remains to rigorous investigation. This has been done under intense media scrutiny, but that has not detracted in any way from our intent and purpose to conduct world-class research on what was potentially one of the most exciting archaeological discoveries of recent years. Each piece of evidence has been scrutinised, and the results of the different studies presented today have been considered by the team of specialists in order to reach a sound academic conclusion. This project has resulted in cross-disciplinary collaboration, which is a hallmark of the research conducted here at the University of Leicester and a key factor in our status as one of Britain's leading research universities. It has been an honour and a privilege for all of us to be at the centre of a project that has had such phenomenal global interest and mass public appeal. Rarely have the conclusions of academic research been so eagerly awaited. It is the academic conclusion of the University of Leicester that, beyond reasonable doubt, the individual exhumed at Greyfriars in September 2012 is indeed Richard III.